Now, why this rate matters to you? What's the big deal about the Fed funds rate or the Fed cutting rates or not cutting rates? Here's the deal. It trickles down to you and me. When the Fed raises that Fed funds rate, banks and lending institutions, they pass that cost on to you and me in the form of higher interest rates for short-term loans. That's your auto loans. That's your credit card interest payments. That's your personal loans from banks. That's your small business lines of credit. All those short-term loans get affected. They go up when the Fed funds rate goes up. Now, when the Federal Reserve cuts those rates and lowers those rates, then it lowers the rates that we pay for all those short-term loans that we get from banks, right? So in other words, money becomes cheaper to borrow when the Fed lowers those rates. Debt becomes more manageable. Money starts flowing more because everybody is going out and borrowing money at a cheaper rate, which they want to do, right? What is the Fed funds rate? So we all clear. The Fed funds rate is simply the interest rate that banks charge each other for overnight lending and loaning money to one another. They do that in what is called the federal funds market. They're lending to one another money, right? Loans and borrowing from each other overnight, and the Fed funds rate is the interest rate that they charge each other. Commercial banks are required to keep a certain percentage of money on reserve. Now, anything above that is what they call excess reserves, and they can lend those excess reserves out to other banks who may be short. So again, while we're sleeping, banks are lending and borrowing money from one another, moving billions and billions of dollars behind the scenes. And the Fed sets that Fed funds rate, which is a target rate for those transactions. Right now, that Fed funds rate is between 4.25% and 4.5%. That's the rate they charge each other. So this isn't really some DC drama that is far-fetched and far away from you. This affects our lives, the Fed funds rate, right? It affects our wallets and our opportunities to borrow money at lower rates. So
listen, I know that was a lot to take in, but if you're looking to get qualified for a good auto loan with low interest rates, just comment easy down below and we'll get you approved. Pay me later.